right, what's up, everybody? We got Skorch the Fears, episode 59 with my boy Naaman. This is going to be a good one, my guys. Naaman is an absolute beast. I see him on social media all the time, and I'm excited to have you on here, my man. It's going to be good. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Dude, thanks, Jonah. Your intro, by the way, is top notch. Haven't seen too many that put yours to the test. That was actually really cool. So
Yeah, man.
congratulations on this podcast. You're doing really well. The intro is fire. Thanks for having me, man. I know I post a bunch on social, so like 3-4 times a day. So thanks for watching all my stuff.
Yeah, man. No, huge fan. I love it. Yeah, like if you want, if after this, I can also send you the guy who did that for me. I've been sending it to him because that's a common response of people being like, yo, that is a cool freaking intro. And yeah, like obviously I want to share him. So for the people that don't know you, give just like a quick background on yourself. Just like, what do you do in real estate? What are you like working on right now? What's the titanium crucible? All that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm really excited to do this podcast, Skorch the Fears, because let me tell you, I was scared as hell myself getting into this. So I've been wholesaling and real estate investing for a little bit over 3 years now. I did 13 years in the United States Army. That was what my trade was. That's what I did for most of my adult life. I was able to exit the Army because of real estate investing, freedom, and things like that that came with this sort of lifestyle and adventure. So I'm a dad, 2 kids. I'm a husband. I'm a brother. I'm a friend. I love, connecting with people. I'm a coach. I'm a mentor. I'm an uncle. I love all the people that are in my life. I try to always over deliver. We have multiple companies now that we're running. We have a wholesale business, house flipping business, mentorship, Titanium Crucible, where we do a 2-day in-person event. Have a car rental company. So I'm a serial entrepreneur at this point, loving every bit of it. I've been out of the Army for 4 months now, just 4 months. So
Damn.
I'm loving everything about it. The freedom that comes with it, working from home, getting to spend time with my kids, my wife. I mean, just getting to move to a city that I actually want to be in. All these things we can break them down a little bit later, but all these things are all new, all things I knew that I wanted, and I created exactly the things that I wanted over the last few years, so I can be in a position I'm in now.
I love it. So wait a minute. You just left the Army 4 months ago?
Correct.
That's crazy. So you were doing for most of the time you've been doing this business, you've been in the Army.
Brother, I was flipping houses in my barracks room in Germany, here in Fort Worth.
That's crazy. Okay, I'm definitely going to get into that. I want to
Yeah,
get into
yeah,
that. I want to go back. I want to start at the beginning though. So I want to start, you're in the Army. How did you even hear about real estate investing? I kind of want to start there.
yeah. My first way of getting involved in real estate investing, I didn't have an investor's mindset, but I was still buying real estate, was my VA loan, because I was in the Army. So I was able to purchase houses with no money down. And I was house hacking before we knew that was a term. That was house hacking back in 2012 when I bought my first house. I bought my first house in 2013, actually. 2013, I bought a duplex. Lived in one side, rented the other, rented out one of the rooms that was in my duplex as well. I was living there for free. Then I bought a single family house, rented out the rooms to other soldiers, and was living there for free. Then I sold both of those properties in the last few years, made probably about 200,000 from those two sales. And the sale of the home was how I got my first money to get into real estate investing. But to answer your question, how I found out about investing was from Bigger Pockets. I was
Mhm.
when the pandemic happened, I was just a soldier living in Germany. Pandemic happened and everything stopped. The whole world slowed down, came to a halt. I didn't have much of a job. I was just kind of in my barracks room, drinking coffee, working out, trying to figure out what life is now. Now that no one's going to work. Right.
Right.
So I started educating myself by watching YouTube videos. I started with the Dave Ramsey stuff, did all the Dave Ramsey
Classic.
stuff. What else do you know, right? Classic Dave Ramsey stuff. Watched hours and hours of that. And then the algorithm from YouTube gave me a Bigger Pockets podcast, like just a couple videos down. And I clicked on it. And I mean, the rest is basically history. I watched probably 200 episodes, brother, in 2 months.
Ooh.
Spent
Somebody
morning,
got the bug.
yeah, I spent morning, afternoon, and night just educating myself because I didn't have anything else to do. And I figured, okay, I've watched enough of this. I reached out to a guy whose podcast episode I resonated with, paid him some money for a mentorship, and then I started flipping houses and burning houses from my barracks room in Germany and Dallas Fort Worth, Texas.
Damn, that's crazy. So I'm so curious because that's wild that you were burring and flipping from across half the world. I mean, that's just like in almost insane to me in the sense of like to even be able to be on the phone with sellers, you're doing it at nighttime, right?
Mm,
Like
yeah.
you'd have to be doing it like cold calling at night. So what were your fears? What were you afraid of when you were starting? Because I mean, you're in the army, you're like
Mhm.
on the other side of the world. I could imagine like so many other things going through your mind. So just let's get into it of like what fears were going through your head when you were like just starting, when you just paid that guy, I don't know how much money, probably a couple $1,000s or more.
That's what's funny. And here's the difference. And here's what one of the messages I want to get across. He didn't really offer mentorship, but he appreciated that I reached out to him and asked. So I listen to a lot of Jim Rohn, and he says, become a good asker. So I've always been a good asker. Hey, I like you. I'm going to ask you and see if I can get what I need from you. He only charged me $100.
I love it.
Um, yeah. And I was still so cheap, I split it with a friend of mine. I said, hey, you sit off to the side, right? You sit off to the side. I'll listen to this guy. We'll both be on the call though. I did that the first call. And it was $50, and I was like, at the time, I thought giving somebody $100 was crazy for an hour. Well, this
Right.
guy thinks he's a lawyer. Like I didn't have what I have now. I didn't know I wasn't that deep into this. Remember, I'm all the way across the world. Like I don't know what's going on. So the $100 I thought was just like a ridiculous fee. Now I realize it was the cheapest thing I'll ever get
Yeah,
in the rest of
easily.
my life. Right? And that guy gave me a freaking bargain. So I ended up doing like 5 calls with him and helped me. He plugged me in with his network of like contractors, title company, wholesale. Because I wasn't wholesaling at this point. I was just doing the burrs and flips. I didn't know what wholesaling was. Bigger pockets ain't got no wholesaling section. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I was just like, all right, let's just do this burr thing. Let's everyone knows flip a house. Right. So that's what I decided I was gonna do. My first like uncomfortable feeling was when I bought the first house. Not anything else, not asking for, not trying to figure out how I got the money, not the rehab, not talking to all the people. I had watched hundreds of episodes of other people do it, so I had the confidence. But then when I finally bought it and I used hard money to close. So I sent about $25,000 of my money to the title
Hmm.
company. And that was like
It's a lot more than
everything.
100, that's for
That,
sure.
yeah. So that was like everything to me. So I sent that money out. I to this day I just saw that house last week. I've owned it for 3 years. I just saw that house last week for the first time because now I live in Fort Worth. But when I bought it, I had such anxiety. I was terrified immediately. As soon as I sent out the wire, I hung up and I was like, "What am I doing? I just bought a crappy house in a place that I've never been. I don't know what is about to happen with this thing." And I remember walking around the block. And I walked around the block probably 10 times before I felt better about what I was doing. And I was just like, this is how I overcame that fear. Trust the process, believe in everything you just watched. You've seen hundreds of people do this. Why can't you do it?
Right.
And that was what I told myself. I was by myself. There was no group, there's no community, there were no other like people that were helping me with this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I did it on my own by myself, 5,000 miles away in a little barracks room in Germany, buying a house in Dallas Fort Worth. So I just had to trust myself and the process that I put myself through to overcome that fear. So that was
So
the
you
first time I was like
were
super scared.
got you. So like I mean like I imagine, I mean 25K, you're just starting out. That's a lot of money at the especially at the very beginning. Were you like when you felt that anxiety, did you just like say that to yourself? Was it kind of like an affirmation?
Yeah, when I walked around the block, I just was talking to myself. I was like, it's gonna be good. You're gonna be all right. You got this. Like I was just talking to myself, dude. It was trippy. It was trippy, man. Because I was like, this is the first 25 grand was like, it's basically like what 25 million means to me now.
Right. Yeah.
That's what 25
It,
grand meant to me then.
right.
So
Exactly.
I was like, yo.
Was your mentor helping you out at all, or was he just like, nah, you got it now. Figure it out. I gave you money.
He plugged me with the contractor I was gonna use, and he plugged me with the wholesalers that I was buying the houses from. But I mean, I ran my numbers, and he was an appraiser by trade, so we added square feet to the house and stuff like that. Like this was no lipstick
Yeah.
flip. I added square feet on my first property, like
Damn.
yeah, but I had a good contractor and my numbers worked. One thing with me, I'm really good with numbers and math and, comping houses and stuff like that. That wasn't an issue. I understood the deal worked, but it was still something I'd never done before. So it's very uncomfortable. And I had some anxiety creep up like, you don't know what you're doing. You never done this before, you know?
Right.
Now, dude, we'll flip a house in like a whole other state. I don't even think about it. I sleep like a baby. I don't even
I
worry. We
love it.
might, oh, that deal's not even gonna work. I'm like, well, we'll figure it out. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
like
love it.
it's a different thing now. But I will never forget that first deal and how it made me feel. And I never felt like that again. But I did feel like it that one time. So
Interesting. So I kind of want to reverse a little bit to like, especially to people, because I think that's one of like the biggest things when starting out is finding a mentor. I hear that a lot. People have asked me to mentor them, right? Usually I say no,
yeah,
generally, right? That's generally the most common response from like somebody like you or somebody like me who's just supremely busy and like have a lot of stuff going on, starting tons of
yeah.
businesses. What do you think makes the difference? Like, what did you ask that guy that you think made the difference where he was like, "No, I'll help this guy out."
I think he just heard the passion that I had, and because I had did the homework. I didn't call
Mm,
him and freaking like, "Hey man, can you teach me real estate investing?" I'm like, "Hey, I just watched 200 episodes of Bigger Pockets. I watched both of yours. I
mhm.
think you know what I mean? Like I was prepared. I had already gave myself the ground level education to put myself in a position where he just had to assist me, right, with what I was doing. He didn't have to show me the whole thing. And that's the difference, because he was a high level investor. He'd already made a couple million bucks. Like, he didn't have to say yes to that.
Right.
He didn't have to, what's $100 to him? He just, it's like, I mean, he's not going to do it for free, right? But $100 is basically for free.
Right, literally. So, having passion, that's what you would say to somebody if they're, like, looking
Yeah.
for a mentor, be like, "Show them. Don't tell them, show
Yeah.
them," right? Like, be like, "Dude, I've listened to 200 episodes. I'm in it. I'm not gonna be the guy who just calls you, gets a 5-minute call, and then I never hear from you again. Like,
Be
I'm gonna do
worthy,
it."
be worthy of their time, right?
Mm,
I'm gonna always bring up Jim Rohn because I freaking love this guy.
he's a great
He's
guy.
dude. Well, he's a great philosopher. He's not alive anymore, but big
Right.
thinker. A lot of my life philosophies are based around him. I listen to him, every week, and he says, "Don't help the people that need help. Help the people that deserve the help."
Mm,
And as a teacher and a leader, it's your responsibility to show people how to deserve your time. So hey, through my content, through our trainings, through our free calls, through our paid calls, this is how you put yourself in a position to then come and ask for assistance and help. Don't just You're not going to help somebody that needs it. Help someone that deserves it. There's so many people that watch 200 episodes of a show that is more qualified to be helped, that can help themselves as well, than someone who just have no idea. And this is going to start from the very beginning. This is not a good person. Usually, this is not a good person to help because they don't know what it takes. They don't even understand the ground level concept. They don't even know if this is for them.
right. No, that 100% makes sense to me. So, keep going with your story. This burr or this flip, how does it go? Like, did you make money on it?
Oh, dude, amazing. So I bought it for like 60 grand. You can't buy a house in Fort Worth for 60 grand anymore. So I bought it for like 60 grand, and we put like 25 into it, and it appraised for like 140. So
Nice.
the first deal was awesome. All right, that house is probably worth like 200 grand now too. So like,
Right.
still own it, rental property, nice little rental. Here's what's cool about that deal. We finished the rehab on it. I had enough proof of concept at this point. Right? I was like, all right. So I'm like, hey, this stuff works. We should do more. So before I even completed the burr process, I broke ground on three more projects. So I had done the buy, the rehab, the rent. I had the refinance and repeat left, and I started three more projects. So I ended up
Nice.
refinancing on that house and another house at the same time whenever I moved back to the state. So I did two burrs at once, basically, for my first investor deal because I had seen enough. I didn't need to see it all the way through. And we did like 10 more after that. And then, the market started shifting. That's when we shifted our business a little bit.
Gotcha. So give me the time frame on this a little bit. So you did your first one. This is right when the pandemic hits.
Yeah, this is like March of 20.
Okay. And then you just do a burr, do a burr, do a burr until you hit 10. And how long does that take?
I did that in probably like like 6 or 7 months.
Okay, damn. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of insane to do 10 burrs in 6 months or
Well,
six or
dude,
seven months.
I wasn't waiting around, man. I wasn't playing around. I saw something that worked, and I went and did it. I mean, I was reusing my money. I started telling my friends, so I did a couple of these with my friends. One thing about me, I don't hold back information. I'm like, if I find something good, I'm like, hey, Jonah, you should do this too. Like, this is working for me. This is pretty
Right.
cool. You should try this. So I own houses with a few of my friends. We flipped some houses together. So that's how I was able to do so many too, because I didn't do them all in my name. I did some of them in my name, some of my friends' names. We flipped some. Like I was just trying to do deals, and that's still who I am. I just want to do more deals. So yeah, we did like I think the number was actually 12 in like 6 months.
That's pretty damn awesome, dude. I mean, 12 in 6 months. How are you getting the deals? Also, like where were you? What was your acquisition strategy back then?
I was buying them. You won't even believe this. You ever heard of New Western?
Yeah, I have. You were
Bro, I was
buying them New
buying
Western?
bro, I was buying deals from New Western, brother. That's what my
That's
mentor
crazy.
showed me. I didn't know what wholesaling was. I didn't know what a
Hmm.
wholesaling was. I didn't know what acquisition was. I didn't have a sales background. I just knew from what I seen in Bigger Pockets and what my mentor showed me. That's all I knew. And that's why I did the same thing so many times. I was like, hey, this is what I know. This is what I do. It's very boring, very simple, but I know how to do this. It wasn't until I started flipping houses that I actually started seeing like any real money. I did 12 birds and I was like making like 200-300 bucks a door. And I'm like, this is not any real money. I'm like, this 3 grand is cool, but this didn't really change my life.
Right. That
I
takes a
still gotta go
while.
to freaking PT tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, so that's where I had like a little bit of a mindset adjustment where I was like, how are all these real estate dudes got so much money? They have to own 100 houses. I said, this was really hard to do these. It was simple, but it was intricate. I said it's hard to do these 12, 15 deals that I did, and I didn't make a ton of money.
Hmm.
So I was like, I got to figure this out. But I ended up making a ton of money because I bought it in 2020.
Yeah, exactly. So
So
then
all
you
my
started
houses
flipping.
are yeah.
So you start flipping, and obviously it's at like the best time ever. The houses market is just zooming upwards. So keep going with your story. You decide to start flipping, and then you start making a lot of money. And then what happens?
Yeah, I made my first $1 million in appreciation.
Whoo!
We own so many houses that we bought so cheap in a good area. So, my first million was just made just straight up from owning houses for like 2 or 3 years. That simple.
Yeah,
I bought a bunch of houses. We held on to them. They're all worth twice as much as what we bought them for.
man, guys, why don't we just all be like Naaman, dude, and just fucking freaking burst some
Beep.
freaking houses? Like, yeah, I know, right? But like, you're making it sound so easy, man. Like,
Yeah.
what were the difficulties that you dealt with when you were doing that, especially with those 12 first bursts? Like, what were the
Yeah.
difficulties you were dealing with?
Yeah. I always added square feet and converted garages. That was because I
Hmm.
was always pushed. That's how I always got my money back was by doing that. So I mean, I didn't do any of the work, dude. I still don't do any of the work. Like I don't know anything about swinging hammers or painting or nothing, dude.
Right,
Nothing. People like, oh, I want to walk a house. I'm like, are you the contractor? They're like, no, we want to go. What are you going in there for?
right.
What do you don't so I didn't really have much difficulty doing this. Flipping was probably and burring were the easiest things that I've ever done in real estate.
Interesting. That's so interesting.
If you find a deal and you have a contractor and you have some money, what do you need to do?
I've heard, I mean, this is interesting for me because I'm mainly wholesale, right? I've done like two flips, right? And they were really easy flips. They were like lipstick drops, like cosmetic stuff. So this is interesting for me in the sense of I've heard things like contractors run and steal your money, right? Like, or something
Oh,
like that.
that's you not doing a good vetting process.
Right. So it's finding the right person, basically.
Yeah, if you have the right people in place, that flipping houses is the easiest thing you could do.
Interesting.
It's
I
so
like it.
easy. You get the deal from a wholesaler, so you didn't have to work for the deal, right? You hire a general contractor, so you don't have to do any of the work.
Right.
I mean, what do you have to do? You have to send the bank your tax returns. I mean, this is a property management finds you a tenant and then handles it from there, or you hire a realtor to do the rest of the marketing and they sell it for you. This is very simple, easy business to be in.
Love it. Awesome. So,
Wholesaling is hard. Wholesaling is hard,
so then
but
why'd you switch to wholesaling then?
because I make more money. Make more
Okay,
money in
gotcha.
wholesaling, and I can then as a wholesaling as a core business, I can choose to keep the house, flip the house, or wholesale the house. All right.
Right.
So, and I don't have to pay an assignment fee, but you do have to have money for marketing and you do have to be good at sales. You don't have to be good at any of that to flip houses
True.
or burn. You don't have to be good at anything. You just have to have a concept. It's an idea. You have to be good at like having 50 grand. Like
Right.
that's it. But wholesaling, it's a business, that's difficult to run and it's challenging. And I love it. I love the challenge of what this business brings. And I love how it's hard to scale flipping, put it like that. Like I didn't do more than like 5 or 6 projects at a time whenever I was flipping houses. The guys that do 50, 60, Maybe they say that this is different. But for me, 5 houses at a time when I'm hiring GCs, it's very simple.
Hmm.
Wholesaling, when you're having to train your sales guys, right? When you're having to find good places to market for buyers and sellers, especially when the market shifts on you, it's a different kind of business, but it feels more rewarding to get it right, locking up a contract. So I'm
Yeah.
having a lot of fun with wholesaling. We're building our business right now. We did our 7 figures in wholesaling as well, but it's a different time now. We did all this stuff when it was really easy to do this business.
Hmm.
So now you got to be good at sales. Now you got to have your systems dialed in. You got to have right people on your team, and people that don't it's gonna show in here in the next year.
Yeah, I'm already starting to hear it. I mean, some of my friends, like I'm part of this mastermind, and like some of them couldn't go to it, and just because they were dealing with their own problems, and you're already starting to see the cracks in some people's businesses, and it's happening. But so let's get into that a little bit. I'm just kind of curious. What's your
Mhm.
what's your predictions with like the economy? What should people do for the newer people who are starting? How would you recommend somebody to start now with what's happening in the economy with like interest rates? Like, there's always the scaredy cat who's like, oh, it's a terrible time to get into real estate because interest rates are high, right? What would you say to that person? And what would you recommend as like the what somebody should do if they're just starting?
Yeah. So there was 192,000 cash transactions last month nationwide. No, people are still buying freaking houses, man. What they're buying is different, right? What they're buying at what price point they're buying is different, but that's why I love wholesaling. It doesn't stop. I just got to offer you less money for your house. Like that's it. That's how you shift. Get better at sales, right? That's one thing I always tell everybody. Like if you can pick one thing to get good at, it's just be good at sales. Learn how to talk to people, learn a good sales process, learn how to overcome objections, understand the philosophy of what you're doing when it comes to sales, and you'll crush it. And if you're not good at wholesaling, if you can be good at sales, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars selling all kinds of stuff. All right.
Right.
So be good at sales is the first thing. And then partner with people, figure out ways to make it work so you can stay afloat right now.
Right.
If you're just getting started, find somebody that's doing they're a couple steps ahead of you and just work for them. Right now is not a great time for somebody to try and figure it out without hiring a coach or a mentor. Like last year, you probably could have just put something under contract and sold it and figured it out by
Right.
yourself. Now you got to have an exact strategy. A lot of what we like to teach people is the reverse wholesaling method, where you find your buyers first and then go shopping for that buyer. That's what we like to teach when we take on our coaching students and stuff like that. So reverse wholesaling is one of my favorite ways to build a business.
I love it. Can you talk about that, or is that secret proprietary stuff? Like,
No,
what do you mean exactly by reverse wholesaling?
yeah, we market to buyers, right? We spend money on building a big buyers list, and we talk to our buyers, figure out their exact criteria, and then we figure out what is exactly that they want with zip codes, bedroom, bath, etc. And then we pull our data according to what they want. So that way, when I do get a deal locked up, hey, I know that Jonah likes 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 car garage, brick houses, 1980 or newer, and 73507. This is the deal for him. Lock that up at this price because he wants it here, and this is the most rehab he'll do. That deal was sold to Jonah before the ink is dry with me and my seller.
Right.
That's a business model. That's a business plan.
Right. I gotcha. I mean, I think that's such a good idea. I mean, like, I think people should have been doing that even when the market was good. Like, I get it. Like, it was a lot easier when you could just like
Yeah.
be like, ah, screw it. I guess it's found it out. But once you start doing that it's a lot better. I actually had Kent Clothier on the podcast too, and he literally said in 2008, that's how he stayed afloat, was literally that method you just talked about, where it's like, know your buyers. That's your customer as a wholesaler. It's like your buyer. You need to know what they're doing right now. Then you can reverse engineer it, find a freaking house that they want exactly, exactly what they're willing to buy it for. And then it's just simple plug and play at that point and just getting it at a price where you're also able to make some money. So I 100% agree. I mean, like, YouTube beasts are freaking saying it. That means it is. Hey, there we go, dude. Like, what a guy.
That's my mentor, man. How do you think I
Was
learned
that
it
the
from?
guy?
That's who I learned it from.
Oh, was that the Burr guy?
No, hell no.
Oh,
Kent,
okay.
let
Oh,
me tell you, I didn't pay Kent $100 for nothing.
yeah. I was about to say. I was about to say,
I
like,
paid Kent
damn,
a
bro.
whole lot more than $100. to teach me wholesaling, But
That's
that's the point,
hilarious.
right? I continue to hire coaches and mentors to teach me the business. It's a cheat code, right? Masterminds,
100%.
coaching, and mentorships are cheat codes, right? So the first guy that I hired, he was $100, and I thought that was crazy. I paid Kent tens of thousands of dollars to show me
Right.
what he showed me, So, but that's exactly who I learned the reverse wholesale model from, Jonah. He was actually
Oh,
on
I
my
love it.
call with our community yesterday. That's
So
my guy, man.
hilarious.
I
That's
love
the
that
OG.
dude, man. That's my guy.
He's a cool guy.
There's a few people that I'd listen to, take advice from, and criticism from. He's one of like 3 people that I actually care to listen to their advice.
I love it. I think I totally 100% agree that like mentors and coaches are incredibly important in general. I would not be where I am today without the mentors and coaches I had. My two are Jamil and Pace, and I bet you know them. Like those are my two guys as like mentors, and they helped me so much in my journey and like being able to get to where I am today. I mean, you're right. It's a cheat code. It's literally like putting in X O X X Y, like
Up, down, up,
literally
down,
like
up,
up
down, up,
down. Yeah,
down.
like literally, it's like you get the Grand Theft Auto like
Yeah.
rocket launcher from it, right? How do you choose a mentor? Like, how do you find out? Because I know a lot of people in this business who honestly, I know a few people who are switching, like they're going out of business and like now they're switching to coaching, right? And like I just know a few, like it's just real. I mean, that's going to be happening
Yeah.
because you can make so much more money from coaching, right? So how do you vet your mentors to know that like they're the real deal, and like how do you choose the right one for you and what you should be going for?
Yeah, I've paid lots of money to people to give this answer. Okay, so everyone please listen to this answer.
This is the
All
sauce,
right.
guys.
I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to people to figure out wholesaling, house flipping, burring, hard money, whatever, you name it, right? All the things that I've educated myself on. And you just need to pick someone that's just a couple steps ahead of you to be your coach, to be your mentor. Don't pick the person that's 30 steps ahead of you. Pick the guy that's
Hmm.
just a little bit ahead of you. Just a few steps. I'm telling you, it'll pay off better because
Hmm.
one, they'll have more availability for you, and two, they just did what you want to do. So it's fresh on their mind, right? You're best set to serve the person you once were.
Hmm.
You are best set to serve the person you once were. So don't go hire someone for 50, 60 grand mentorship that hasn't been in the seat that you're trying to get to in the last few years. It just doesn't make
Interesting.
sense. It doesn't make sense. They're on a different playing field, and the way their brain is working isn't where you need it to be at. And they're
Huh.
not going to be as available. I'm telling you. Like my one-on-one students, they call me, I pick up. Like that's what we do. We talk all the time, right? We have access, way more access. Dude, if I call Kent right now, he's not going to answer, right?
Right.
Not going to pick up. But if my guys call me right now, not right this second, I'm on this podcast, but I'll get back to them like pretty quick. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
That's such interesting advice. I like it so much because I for sure didn't do that. I feel like you can, what do you think about this? You can get value out of it, but damn, that would be incredibly valuable to just have someone who's a couple steps ahead that actually would answer the phone when I need it. Like that's so, like, is that what happened? Like, did you have mentors who were just way too ahead of you and then you're like, damn, this kind of
Yeah.
sucks, but let me try it like with this, or like tell us the
Yeah.
story a little bit.
Dude, so Kent was one of those people. I wasn't as qualified as I probably should have been to be a one-on-one student of his. He still took me on, and I felt like I was wasting valuable hours with him because I was learning like KPIs and shit, with Kent Clothier. You know what I'm saying? You see my point?
That's funny. I mean, yeah, I get what you mean. If you're
Yeah.
like at that level, like, bro, I get it.
I'm part-time wholesaling, because I'm still in the army,
Right.
and Kent's my wholesale coach.
That's hilarious.
Like, and now I'm glad I have this relationship, obviously now, because I can call him for way bigger stuff and better things. But now I should probably be hiring him as my coach, but not 2 years ago.
I love it so much, my man. My man, this has been a pleasure. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on. Guys, next week, 5 p.m., we'll bring it back to Thursday probably. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to see y'all next week for Skorch the Fears. Naaman, you're amazing, brother. That was super fun, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, good luck putting out this fire. Let's go.
Absolutely Skorch the Fears.
Feel
Naaman,
bad
you're
for
a
the next
beast.
guy.
All right. I will see y'all next week.